Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the news broadcast of the 1980s, starring the greatest men of the decade. Also, we will be bringing you the latest news and facts of the decade, starting with me, President Ronald Reagan.
And then me, inventor Bill Gates.
NBA player Larry Bird.
Famous musician Daryl Hall.
All right, now, ladies and gentlemen, on to the economy section where me and Bill will be taking you there. Hi, ladies and gentlemen. I am Mr. Ronald Reagan, Mr. Bill Gates. We will be now talking about the 1980s, the greatest decade in the world, economy. Over to you, Bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. As we all know, the 1970s was not a great decade for America. But during the 1980s, our economy has improved a lot. From 1982 to 1987, the nation's gross national product has grown a lot. This means that everybody can now buy more stuff and get more salary. Our great President Ronald Reagan has reduced tax for many citizens and made it easier for business owners to hire employees.
You know, I was interviewing somebody that lived through the decade along with us, and she said, the economy was one of the strongest parts of that decade. You look back in the 40s and the 50s, people were struggling. You got the Great Depression. Things just weren't very well. So, the 80s really boosted America and got to where it is.
But it wasn't great for everybody. Farmers suffered to a decline in agricultural exports, failing crop prices, and rising interest rates. But by 1983, the economy had rebounded and everybody were living good again. Mostly everybody. They enjoyed a sustained period of growth as the annual inflation rate stayed below 5% for the remainder of the 1980s.
Yeah, and we're in the 80s right now, but you look into the future and it's unreal how the inflation's going to rise. You start out in the 50s where you can buy something for 10 cents and now you're paying $1, $1.50. It's just unreal what that inflation does and what the economy is going to be someday. It's just scary to think about.
Especially since that we got 13 million new jobs just in 5 years, so you can just imagine how it will be for our country in the future.
And me, President, I want to establish that great economy for our American citizens and everybody who's living in America.
I'm sorry, Mr. President, but you weren't all that great. You also tripled our national debt.
There's also negatives and to the positives, but throughout the 1980s, it was a great economy.
Because you did it to help the country get better and for businesses to be able to hire more people and get us out of that inflation.
Mm-hmm.
But also, it wasn't all your fault that we were in that bad spot because we were being weighed down by the Vietnam War.
Yeah, and then you have the World War II, and then even the thought of Cold War. Just the thought in the back of your head, you have that always worry of that in the back of your head. And when I was interviewing somebody, that's what she said. She said, it wasn't scary, but like just the thought in the back of your head that, oh my gosh, a country can explode us in the click of a button.
Exactly.
That truly has an effect on the economy. So it's just truly great.
Everybody were buying canned goods and making the stuff go up in price, especially the president before you who gave that heavy tax burden.
All right, that's it for the economy section. We will now be sending it to Mr. Larry, who will be talking about the 1980s fashion.
Thank you, Mr. President. Now into the 1980s fashion trends with myself and my friend Daryl.
I was a main part of the fashion in the 80s as I was a famous musician and I also rocked that mullet just like many other men did.
Just like my buddy who had a mullet, mullets were a very fashionable trend in the 1980s. Other things were also fashionable, like the baggy jumpers, bomber jackets, anything that would make people stand out or from the usual. Another thing that people would wear were stuff like Hawaiian shirts and mustaches, double demi jeans, tracksuits, and oversized printed shirts. And for the women, a lot of things that were very fashionable were anything that were brightly colored or make them stand out, just like the men, like high-waisted jeans, mom jeans, leg warmers, ripped demi jeans, and stuff like spandex. They were trying to do anything that would make them seem out of the ordinary or different from others. Another thing that they would wear were things like punk leather items and leotards. Very many different people were very influential, with people like Princess Diana. Diana was a iconic 80s person who created very diverse clothing and basically influenced a lot of people. Other people, such as Joan Collins, who is a powerful character in a 1980s TV show. She inspired people with things like the perm and puff shoulders and different types of eyeshadow and peacock eyeshadow. Anything that would make them seem different. Now over to my friend.
Michael Jackson was also a very popular guy for the fashion trends, as he wore his powerful and colorful jackets with his nice hair. And he also wore like military style accessories like jewelry and stuff. And then now on to the basketball court, where my partner Larry scored 47 points with just his left hand, and he's also right-handed.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to thank Mr. Darrell talking about, Larry Bird's crazy 47 points with just his left hand. That's absolutely insane, especially coming from a right-hand player. The 80s, basketball ain't easy to play. You got really high-quality defenders, such as Dennis Rodman. Over to you, Mr.
Yeah, he basically just did it because he wanted to. He said he could, so he did it. He just wanted to prove it to everybody, especially the people who were saying he was getting out of his prime. He just wanted to prove to them that he wasn't.
Yeah, most definitely. That's just, anybody using their other hand, especially in the talented players in the NBA, that's just unreal. And now, we even have some really good highlights from the game. So now we're going to skip to the highlights, if that's cool with you.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
All right, over to the highlights. Cheesy crow. Larry Bird's just insane. You see those highlights?
Yeah, he's just insane
unreal.
overall.
If I'm an NBA fan and I'm sitting at home watching that, that's just absurd. I'm telling you one thing, I would have a Larry Bird jersey, but I'm president of the United States, I could get it anyways.
Yeah.
But the point is, it's just absurd game by Larry Bird, and I'm glad that happened. It's good for the Celtics, good for the franchise.
Especially that clip of him dunking on that defender. That was just insane.
It's crazy what a guy can do, especially with his opposite hand. It's just unreal.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah. Back to the studio.
Go.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Now on to our music segment. Well, me and my group of broadcasters will be showing you what it was just like to create a music video back in the 80s. I'm hot, sticky and sweet, from my head to my feet, yeah. on, fire me up. I'll keep getting up. I'm hot, sticky sweet, from my head to my feet, yeah. Whew, I'm a little tired from that one. I don't know about you, but hope you guys enjoyed the music video that we put on there for you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be taking you to the invention segment with my buddy Bill, who knows a little bit about inventions.
Now back to you.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. We're back with me, Ronald, and my buddy over here, Bill. We're going to be talking about all the greatest and crazy inventions that went throughout the 80s. You know, such things like a disposable camera. Who would have thought that would even come about?
Just take a picture and just throw it away.
Yeah, literally. Like you tell somebody the 1930s that they'd be off the rockers for that one. And you know, just like a compact disc, the idea that you can burn a disc and then watch it again. You know, it's just crazy stuff like that. And even a space shuttle. But you know,
That somebody could just go to space that easily.
yeah. And then there was some negatives though, and you have the crazy Challenger explosion where students at school were watching. Yeah, but we don't want to get off topic.
Yeah.
Back to inventions, but you know, inventions were truly one of the greatest impact of the 80s. You know, you think about it, inventions are all over. You have millionaires just because of a simple invention. It's just crazy. You know,
Yeah,
my buddy Bill knows a little bit about inventions, so I guess he can.
Talking about getting rich off of inventions, I'm starting my company Microsoft. Y'all might have heard of it with my good buddy Paul Allen. We've already started doing some prototypes, but I won't reveal too much since my contract with this company is fairly new and we're not sure how we're going to work out. But I can tell you, in a few years, there's going to be some big changes to the technology market.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's just crazy to think that there's such thing as what you're talking about. I mean, I can't even imagine in 20 years or 30 years, we'll be having flying cars, you know? Who knows what's going to be happening?
Maybe small laptops that you can just stick in a bag and bring anywhere.
That's another one too. And then like, even inventions has to do with fashion, like we were talking about earlier. You can have an invention that has to do with jeans, you know, like an air-conditioned jeans, or, you know, something stupid like that. You never know what's going to happen. And that's why the 1980s had such a great impact on inventions, because you just truly didn't know what was going to be invented. And there was just some crazy people out there that invented some really cool things.
Also,
like yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Also in prison, it was getting too hard to just figure out who the prisoners were, so they started getting DNA fingerprints. Can you believe that they can see?
That's crazy.
They know who you are just by your thumb.
That's
Can
crazy.
tell exactly what you've done for your whole life just for your thumb.
Mm-hmm. And then you have CDs launched in 1982. That's another crazy one. Popular for music, gaming, and entertainment. Can you imagine just popping a CD in something and you and your friends get to hang out?
With the Walkman, you used to have a Walkman, didn't you?
Yeah.
Small disc that you hung on your belt and you just walked around listening to music. That's just insane.
Yep, it's just unreal inventions in the 1980s. And that's pretty much wrapping up our segment on 1980s inventions. So
But I'm sorry to tell you folks, but we actually have a little commercial for you guys.
Yep.
So we're gonna
take a break here, real quick. Back to the studio. I'm here, ladies and gentlemen, with GMC and Chevrolet. We'll be bringing to you the newest of automobile technology. Here, ladies and gentlemen, I am driving the brand new pickup truck, the 1988. It's just got all the bells and whistles. You got your brand new radio, and you even got AC.
This great automobile is also all-terrain.
Alright guys, we're here all back together. We're going to wrap up our 80s decade project. Thank you for watching.